we're just going to dig right into it. It's been a big day here at Navarre and Scale headquarters, among other things. I cannot wait to take a look at this. I got a new ultrasonic cutter I bought back before Christmas that showed up today, and this is going to be a game changer for 3D printing or 3D printed sprue cutting. So that's well, I'm gonna have to dig into that tomorrow, but that's very, very exciting. I think when you talk about game-changing tools, I think this is one of them, and it definitely comes at a price. Other than that, I got something from the UPS here today. I got an email from a good friend not too long ago about something that was coming my way, and let's just get right to it. Yeah, you know what that is. Let's check this out. Okay, first and foremost, I love the Tamiya 148 Tomcat. It is easily my favorite model ever made, and I have a fair amount of collections of them. Our benefactor here, I'm not sure if he wants his name mentioned or not, so we're going to check into that first, but he's also supplied me with several of the 48 kits as well. But, you know, I got to be honest, I wasn't necessarily thinking about picking up the 48, or the 72nd scale F-14D. I think when the A comes out, that was something I was like, oh, yeah, maybe. I love the Tomcat. I used to build 72nd scale out of college and early on, and then this 72nd scale, it's so cool. So anyways, the whole point is this is going to take me back to kind of my model building roots. Oh my God. I'm not going to say it's so cute, but it's, you know, it really is like it's a scale down of the 48 scale kit. And that is absolute perfection. I think the only other time I've been this excited about a scale down was actually on April 1st when ARC had an article about how the Hasegawa 72nd scale kit was going to be scaled down to 1/144th. And I literally, shit you not, I lost my mind. I absolutely lost my mind thinking that was real, and then I realized it was April 1st, and I'm not going to lie, it took weeks, if not months, to get over the fact that that was not real. So this is freaking awesome. Yeah, it's got a screwdriver for the end caps, clear parts. I mean, in a lot of ways, it really is 48 shrunk down. But man, this actually really makes me want to kind of dig into 72nd scale again. I had an idea. The reason I was kind of talking about wanting to build a 72nd scale one, I thought a forced perspective diorama of a Tomcat in the overhead brake and a section brake would be super cool. So I think we're going to just have to do that in 72nd and 48 with the D. Okay, this is beautiful. Review time. It's wow. I mean, it's the 48 kit scaled down. It's the 48 kit scaled down with some changes in it. Looks like some improvements. Obviously, you got to do a couple things a little differently in 72nd scale, but there's no big buildup to just be able to say this is freaking awesome, and it's, you know, the next perfect kit from Tamiya. So let's see, we got VF2, which they did in their 48 scale. VF213's last CAG jet that they did in their 48 scale. Flip this over. This is new. So this is 213 on the last cruise. And that's the wrong paint scheme. Whoever did their paint schemes got that one wrong. That's not what 213 did. The only one, 204, had a TPS scheme. Everything else had a single dark ghost gray, some light ghost gray on the underside, and this top was all dark ghost gray. It just had a skunk stripe in medium gray. So unfortunately, whoever did the research for Tamiya on the Black Lions missed that one in a really big way. There we go, VF101 that they had in their 48 scale kit. And this is something new too, Vandy 1, beautiful. They also didn't do the research on Vandy 1. And I can tell you this because for Friday Town Decals, we didn't do a good enough job. This national insignia on the top and the bottom, going back to 97 through 2004 at the end of its life, was a larger one. It wasn't full-size large, but it was a larger one, noticeably larger. Yeah, last time we did that sheet, I really wanted to correct it, and we didn't do it, and it really drives me nuts. Let's see, when does it say? Oh, it says 97. Okay, we're good. The names on there are 97. Yeah, I got some personal stories from 97 that I'll share later on. But we'll take a look at some pictures to connect with that. But wow, what a freaking awesome, awesome kit here. So let's see, we got a couple more details to take a look at. Yeah, there's we'll look at the decals, the masks. It's shrink down, huh? And then our instruction manual. So thank you so much for this kit. This is going to be some really interesting building. I'm gonna have to try and fit it in as soon as I can. Oh, wow. Oh my God. All right, well, if you like Tomcats and you like 72nd scale, or you think you might, go get the 72nd Tamiya F-14D. Beautiful box art, by the way. Let's take a look at a couple of details right off the bat. So in addition to kind of mostly being a scaled down, they've done some things to improve and make some stuff simpler. Right off the bat, we can take a look at the bomb racks here, which is really cool. So we have our, right here, our bomb rack with the rack itself is a separate piece right over here. So that's really nice. So you could, hopefully, the way it's mounted, you would put the weapons right onto that rack, stick it right in there. That's really nice. That's a cool thing. Intakes, single piece. Tail, here, horizontal tails, single piece. Those are really nice. Then the rest of the stuff is kind of mostly scaled down. I also want to take a look at, look at this. This is awesome. I wish they did this in 48 actually. So here are our angle of attack and airspeed, air temp probes, right? So there's this kind of nice big chunky thing on it. And when we grab our front fuselage, look at that. So they seat really well in there. That is awesome. Those pieces are always so delicate and challenging. Other things here, these pieces I love. These are the main wheel bells, a little bit more detail to those. I thought that was the weakest part of the 48 wheel bays, honestly. So this extra detail they have there is really cool. Okay, landing gear doors, look at this. So the door support frame is molded to the wall itself. So you got a lot more structure to go with that. Here's the front door. So you see it's got a much larger mounting, basically, things that'll go on there. So those are some really nice functions there. I think this is kind of cool. We got a, down here, we've got a gun vent with some other separate parts, which if you look at the main part here, could potentially mean they could do, the way this indent here is, they could end up doing an early prototype that had the short muzzle. That would be, I don't know that anyone's ever done it. Maybe Matchbox back in the 70s, but no one modern has ever done that. So that could be really cool. And then something else I noticed on here that I thought was awesome. This part right here, it's 23. You see those vents on there? That fits on the right side aft fuselage. That is only for the D. The A and the B did not have the panel there or the vents to go with it. So that's really cool. You can see here there's the mold separation, same as 48, just because it's 72nd, it looks a little bit more pronounced. But top parts, man, they're just, they're every bit as good as 48 scale. All right, last little detail I want to show you here is these are the cockpit parts here. So kind of the same thing with the side probes. Right here, this is where the lantern hand controller is going to go in. So they give you like nice good area to mount that, so there's no like tiny little tabs. And you can see here is the lantern hand controller right there. I don't know how big we can make this, but there it is. So that's pretty cool. It has such a positive mounting area for it. I love the way that they're handling these things. So kudos to Tamiya. There's your pilot front combing and our instrument panels back here. So we only get the option with the lantern PTID, and that's just fine. There's our pilot panel there, and I'm gonna go look, see if there's decals to go with it. But man, these parts are just, yeah, that's beautiful. I love it. Oh, look at that. They included wheel chocks in here. That's a nice little touch. So Cool. And then the wheel bay, this is cool. So there's the wall or the ceiling, right? And the main bay parts. There's the instructions for the front. You see there's a front and a back piece that go on here, but the sides there are basically blank. And then later on, when we jump to the back and we put in our gear doors, you can see there, they just slide right in. So the sidewalls are a little bare. It's 72nd, like really, I don't have any problem with that. If you want to add a little bit of detail, you can, but okay, I think the end result, once again, is this kit is an absolute winner. There's some weapons. Not quite as many as the 48. We just get a couple of Phoenix Sparrow Sidewinder and then a pair of GBU 12, I guess 4 GBU 12s. That's all I see in the box right now. So also, you know, if you built the late kit, the late A kit, they have those drop flaps and slats. This kit just has one single piece wings. So, and then you can swing them back and forth. So, all right, I love it. And we can't go anywhere without taking a look at the decals real quick. So here's our decal sheets. Main colors, main markings. You know, Tamiya does a lot of research. They got a lot of cool things about them in terms of their decals. I kind of always had this feeling like they, a number of years ago, kind of did these much greater expansive decal sheets with the idea of knocking off people using aftermarket. But their quality is just not where, you know, microscale or photographic print. Sorry, but like I can just tell you the blues here on the VF2, it's just a really dull. It doesn't match the FS color at all. It's just a dull blue. And then you know, for the VF101 jet here, you know, that's the hard part is the reason they do this black around the colors is if you just do the color, there's not enough, you know, surface area to get the white trapping underneath to make that color really vivid. So you do the black and then you can put white under that entire black area, which means you get those colors really well. The downside is now this black, you know, you could say black is black, but it has to match the paint and it should pretty good, but it's just, you know, it's one of those things. As far as their colors here for what should be light ghost gray, I can't speak till I put it on the model. But Vandy went over here. We are going to talk. I went and did a whole bunch of research. This is cool. They actually did include a helmet stripe right here, but I only see one. I'm not sure what 174 is right here. Well, there's two of those. Let's see what those are in the instructions. But there's one helmet marking. But yeah, I'll show you here. But this bureau number, that font for the bureau number would have been back in '94 when it was still VX4, not VX9. They did get the 9s. Well, at least one of them had a kind of an off-shaped 9. The other side was normal in '97. But then they did go back to this type of bureau number right literally the week before they sent the airplane in retirement to Oceana. So ask me how I know. I'll show you some pictures I took in just a moment here. So interesting things. There's boarding steps. These are non-skid things for boarding steps and or the boarding ladder. And then these are the boarding step decals. I find it really interesting. We did these at Fighter Town decals a while back in our data sheet, and it's kind of cool to see some of the things that I'd like to think we were the first to do and really the only to do for a long time popping up on these sheets. It's cool to see that the level of detail on these sheets has improved greatly over the years. So there's a good look at the main decal sheet. Let's take a look at our secondary one. This has got more of our low vis and some, there we go, some cool markings. Tamiya did this. This is awesome. The wing sweeps. That's just really cool. That's just so neat. I love that. And then here you go. We got cockpit decals. I just wish they wouldn't do the powered on screens, but decals are pretty nice. I think you could probably paint and dry brush most of the stuff just as easily, but decals are a nice touch. Again, some data stuff that I recognize that at Fighter Town Decals, we did, you know, some of these things, but cool markings. The weapon stuff's all look good. And then we come to our VF213 here. So these markings need to be in medium gray, FS35-237, to match paints, hopefully. And so that's the color. I don't know how that works. You know, I would assume that they did their homework and tested this and that those will match really well. But 203 is a cool jet. Just the issue with the paint scheme and the instructions. Now we'll move on to some photos, and then we are done. Have a great night. All right, let's start by looking at VF213. Here's the actual profile for 213 during their last cruise. Overall, 36-320 gray. And some lower sections is hard to see in the pictures that were light ghost gray. But here's some Wally Van Winkle shots of the jet when it was retired. So there you go. That's what 203 really looked like in real life. Okay, here you can see the Fighter Town Decals instructions with the Vandy 1 1997. And the close-up there gives you a good look at the actual small stencil bureau number that was used. Here's the original Vandy 1 in 1994 when it was first painted as VX4. You see the big bureau number that they used the decal of. And then shortly after, when it became VX9, they kept that big bureau number just a little bit longer. And here is the 1997 Vandy 1 at the Miramar Air Show with nose and trigger flying. If you look really close, you can see the big star on top of the wing as they taxi out. Our close-up showing a better look at the bureau number, although it's a little bit hard to see, and a good look at the Navy. Finally, here in 97 is the underside of the wing where you can see the big star. That's the same star that's on the top and bottom. And finally, a look at the very last version of Vandy 1, just a few months before retirement with Playboy Bunny, and you can see the small stencil font that had been there since prior to 1997. And there's a little bit of a close-up for you, just so you can get a good look at it. So go out and buy the Tamiya Tomcat. It's a beautiful kit. Like I said, it's a huge winner. I love this thing. I'm going to build a 72nd scale Tomcat again. Who knew?